Hello and welcome back to Desert Rats Racing League. Today we are going to Spielberg for Red Bull Ring in its full format. Up in the front we currently have Zingy delivering good qualifiers, followed by Loose in second, Raccoon coming up in third, Snoodro in fourth, Jay in fifth, Captain in sixth, John taking seventh place, and to finish off our pack we have Matt in the back. Let's go ahead and hand it off to Webbo for commentary.
And here we are as we come back to Red Bull Ring in Spielberg. We have Zingy out in the pole position as the lights go out and they head down the fourth straight of the track. It's going to be an interesting race today with the full layout this time instead of the short layout from last session. Zingy still showing, though, he has the dedication to get that first place pole position in qualifying, followed by Goose is Loose, Raccoon in third, 37 in fourth, Captain Ahab in fifth, John in sixth, Snoodro in seventh, and Matt Good following up the back of the pack as we head up into the hairpin at the top of the long, not so straight. Zingy keeping his lead with about 0.4 seconds of a gap behind him with Goose is Loose. Raccoon Akiba not too far behind either, but Captain Ahab is starting to peel off, creating his own pack behind with the fourth place position. And as they come down into the sharp right-hander, this turn can definitely be tricky for some of our drivers as it can cause some understeer and pull them out to the gravel pit. And here we are as they're coming closer into entering Sector 3. We see them diving around the long bend of the inside of the track. Zingy continuing to fight with the Goose is Loose as Raccoon has slid off behind Captain Ahab for the third place position. And as we can see, we have the onboard camera of Raccoon here down in the bottom right as he's chasing down Captain Ahab. He needs to watch out in that mirror, though, as it looks like John is going to attempt to make a move. It's going to be some contact. That's definitely going to be something for Raccoon to worry about as he receives a warning for colliding with another driver. If he receives, and that's going to be Captain Ahab spinning out into the last turn. It didn't look like there was any contact, so that is going to be a loss of control for the driver. There it is. There is going to be that warning. And as we take a look, we can see that Snoodro is making a chase down here after John for that third place position now that Raccoon is out of the fight, and so is Captain Ahab for the time being. Here they come down the not so straight. Zingy up there still having a lead on the Goose is Loose, but John is being chased down by Snoodro, and Raccoon is sliding in as well to come chase after them past 37. 37 there representing the Xbox One livery in his Mini Cooper today. And here we come into the tight right-hander down the hill towards the bending sweep into Sector 3. We've got some close battles going on, not just in the front, in the middle, but also at the back of the pack. We can see that Captain Ahab and Matt Good over there in the background are having a little bit of scuffle as well. Looks like Snoodro almost has the chase onto him, but as we come up to the Goose is Loose, it looks like he's going to get a chance to pass Zingy if he can make it into the inside. And there he goes. He actually does make the pass as they enter into the last two turns of the track for lap 2 of this race. Here they come down the front stretch. The Goose is Loose is going to keep his lead for the time being as we enter into lap 3, but we'll see what happens into turn 1. The Goose is Loose opting for a very narrow entry, but it looks like it is going to give him enough to be able to stay ahead towards the not so straight. Some beautiful racing today from our drivers. As we can see, Snoodro and Raccoon are still having that battle over there for the fourth place position. John is doing his best to catch up to the rest of the two in the podium positions, and Zingy is putting down the chase on the Goose is Loose. Two fierce drivers that have appeared here in the Desert Rats Racing League. Zingy and the Goose is Loose have been putting in podium positions nearly every race that they've been participating in since they've joined. And here we go as they enter that down right-hander. A sharp right-hander, I apologize. Coming towards the entry to Sector 3, will Zingy be able to get enough pace on the outside to sweep back in down towards the inside and make an attempt at the Goose is Loose. Not quite having the braking onto the next section. The Goose is Loose able to launch forward. A little bit of understeer, but he's able to keep ahead of Zingy, ahead of Zingy for now. This is an intense battle for that first place position as Zingy's going ahead to attempt to make a move down the inside like the Goose is Loose did, but he's not quite able to stick it in the same way. As they enter the last turn of the track, they will be making their way towards lap 4 of the race. With the Goose is Loose still leading the pack. Zingy in second, John in third, Snowdrone in fourth, and Raccoon in fifth. The rest of the pack trailing behind, not too far away, with the exception of Matt Good starting to fall back a little bit from the pack. And here we go as we join the chase cam for Zingy as he attempts to make another pass on the Goose is Loose towards the outside of the right-hand hairpin. Will he be able to have the pace for the run back? As he switches back to the right side of the Goose is Loose, is he able to get past? He is! That puts Zingy back in the first place position for now. We currently see Johnny, aka number 37, in the cockpit cam on the bottom right-hand corner as we see him chasing down the drivers in the 4th, 5th, and 6th positions. Ooh, and it looks like he's had a little bit too much of a hard entry, smashing into the back of John. That is going to be a post-race grid penalty for Jay there, J37, in the Xbox One livery. Snowdrone is able to quickly get back onto the track though, and so is John as he makes an attempt to catch back up to that 5th place position, or 4th place position, I apologize. Raccoon has been able to take the 3rd place position though today. He definitely needs those points as he has not had a great performance the last few races compared to the start of the season. And as we can see, Snowdrone is coming into the last 2 turns of the track with John not so far behind and Captain on his tail as well. Into the front stretch we come. As we can see, Zingy is still leading the Goose is Loose in their fight for first. Raccoon Akiba is currently sitting in the 3rd place position with no contention at the moment. But with Snowdrone, John, and Captain not too far behind, things could change for the host of our Desert Rats Racing session. And back into the not so straight for lap 5. As we can see, Zingy and the Goose is Loose are making their way around the right-hand hairpin, with Raccoon and Snowdrone coming here and following up behind. John still leading away from Captain Ahab, trying not to give him any pace as he doesn't want to lose any more positions today. As we join Zingy and the Goose is Loose heading into the heavy braking zone of the right-hand turn towards the end of Sector 2. See if he's able to set up a switchback. These drivers have been showing some tremendous skill with their ability to do such today. We see the onboard cam with John as he's attempting to chase down Snowdrone. He attempts to make an early move towards the inside, but it's not going to let him carry enough pace in that 22 car. Snowdrone able to keep his position for now in the 4th place. Ooh, but John putting down an excellent attempt, but unfortunately it looks like he's been turned into by Snowdrone. It's hard to catch, but Snowdrone is going to receive a warning for colliding with another driver. But it looks like both drivers were able to get back on track. The only disadvantage being that Captain Ahab was able to make a move past them during that incident. At this point, we're more than halfway through the race. About 9 minutes have passed. We currently have Zingy leading the pack again, with the Goose is Loose chasing him. They've created a huge gap, a 9-second gap. Sorry, a 5-second gap towards that 3rd place position, 9 seconds towards 4th place position. The 2 drivers in 3rd and 4th having trouble catching up without any drivers around them. They're not able to get benefit from draft or things like that. But the 5th and 6th place positions of Snowdrone and John are able to take advantage of this. If they work together, they could catch up to the 4th place and even the 3rd place position before the end of this race. But for now, we're watching as the Goose is Loose is making another attempt at Zingy as they head into the beginning of Sector 3 in the wide sweeping left-hander. They drop down to that second or third gear to be able to keep that speed around the inside as they shoot back down, tapping the brakes only slightly to get the slip angle of the car to turn in towards the left-right turns of Sector 3. As they make their way towards the last two turns, it looks like Zingy has got quite a bit of a half-second gap there, pulling away from the Goose is Loose. The Goose is Loose is really going to have to step it up into these next two laps if he wants a chance at victory today on the top of the podium and not on one of its lower steps. Here they come as they enter into the 7th lap of our race. 3 laps remain for our drivers. If we take a look at the map, we can see that the rest of the pack has spread out just a little bit. Our main contention being here at the front with Zingy and Goose is Loose, although we do see that Snoodro and John are putting up a fight of their own in the back. These two drivers had quite an eventful day today here at Red Bull Ring. Snoodro leads in that 5th place position ahead of John. John is going to attempt to get the pass, hopefully up here into the hairpin. He switches back to the inside, but will he carry enough pace through to pass him in the back straight here at Red Bull Ring? And it doesn't seem though, as Snoodro is pulling away with that exit. A beautiful entry and exit into the hairpin of Spielberg today. As we take a look at the scoreboard, we see that Goose is Loose is still making an attempt to chase back down Zingy at currently about 3/4 of a second, though he is struggling to make that gap smaller once again. As we come back to it, we will see the Goose is Loose chasing down Zingy. Zingy is starting to develop quite the lead. A wonderful driver here in the Desert Rats Racing Series. He has placed first position multiple times now already and is definitely a strong contender to watch out for on the leaderboards. As we saw there for a brief moment, John is making a little bit more pace towards Snoodro. He has 2 laps left to take back that 5th place position for now. But as we enter the last 2 laps of the race, the Goose is Loose is starting to lose his pace on Zingy as well. Zingy is starting to almost get up to a second gap. That's going to be trouble for the Goose is Loose if he wants a victory today. And Raccoon has had some luck today. Definitely not a high-intensity race for the driver, but one to get some points, which he has needed the last few sessions. As they make their way into the sharp right-hander towards the entrance of Sector 3, Zingy is still keeping that gap at about half a second. And Snoodro and John are still putting up a fight there for the 5th place position. With this camera angle, it's starting to make these little minis look like mini toys running around on a child's playroom. But these are high-performance machines, almost the same power as a GT4 car. These monstrous minis, the JCW model, are putting on a show here today at Red Bull Ring. And as we enter the final lap, and it's looking like Zingy is securing a victory if he can keep this pace up. And that's the message for our final lap today. As we take a look, the Goose is Loose is down to a full second gap away from Zingy. The Goose is Loose having some IRL experience in autocross, track days, and rentals. His favorite arcade racer being the Burnout 3 or Paradise games. He got his sim racing start here in 2018. That means he has about, oh gosh, my math wasn't mathing for a second. It means this man has 9 years of sim racing experience. However, we have Zingy with the 2020 Subaru Outback as his daily driver, running Sim Magic for his equipment. His favorite arcade racer is Need for Speed Underground, and I can definitely agree with that choice. That game was amazing. definitely hope one day we can see something like that come back from the series. But that's going to be enough of that as we head into the last sector here shortly. The Goose is Loose has broken the gap down to half a second. Hopefully that autocross experience putting in a little bit of work for them. They enter in to Sector 3 as they come down past the bending left-hander into the left-right straight, or left-right turns of Sector 3. The Goose is Loose doesn't seem to be making the gap any smaller as we enter in towards the last 2 turns of the race. It's starting to look like Zingy will be our victor for today. And here they come as they come into the last 2 turns of our race. The Goose is Loose doesn't seem like he's getting quite the attack he needs if he wants to pass in the final straight. I think today's victor is going to be Zingy as they come down to the final straight. It does seem so. I do not see the Goose is Loose having any chance at this moment. That is going to mean that Zingy is our winner today at Red Bull Ring Spielberg in the Mini Coopers. Congratulations to Zingy with the Goose is Loose taking second place, Raccoon in third, Captain Ahab in fourth, Snoodro in fifth, John in sixth, J37 in 7th, and Matt Good finishing out our pack in the 8th place position today here at Red Bull Ring. Now we will head over to Bathurst for our next and final race of this session.
And as we enter the next session of this race, we are heading to Bathurst. Things have taken quite a bit of a change this time. We currently have Goose is Loose up in the front with pole position, and right behind him is a competitor that's been showing his name on the leaderboard over and over, Zingy, followed by Jay in third, Captain in fourth, John in fifth, Snoodro in sixth, followed by Raccoon, Get Me 240s, Ghost Killa, and Matt Good up in the back. Let's go ahead and head into this race. Thank you, Webbo.
And as we stated, Webbo is actually currently on vacation, so I, RaccRacing, will be your presenter for today once again. The Goose is Loose leading off the pack with a great start here at Bathurst. Zingy chasing him down behind as we enter into the first-hand turn. Looks like the Goose is Loose is opting to take a tighter line onto the curb. These minis, while they are stiff, can handle a little bit of a bumpy ride. And here we are shooting down the first straight of the track. Zingy is right on the Goose is Loose's bumper, maybe attempting to make some bump drafting to get away from the rest of the pack. As we come on board with Snoodro, we are going to be heading into the first few turns of this track's uphill section. As we see them coming around, you have to be careful on that turn not to accelerate too early, or the front wheel drive nature of these cars will try to understeer towards the barrier. But so far so good today in the Desert Rats Racing League, as all of our drivers have made it cleanly through the beginning sections of the uphill journey here at Bathurst. The foliage is thick, the engines are full. Our drivers are ready today to make an attack as they start entering into the downhill section of Bathurst. This is where things get tricky, as these cars, being front-wheel drive, have a tendency to want to give out grip under the braking here on this track. And that's going to be our first incident. We are seeing Snoodro making contact with the walls. That's going to be a warning today for the driver. Oh, and it looks like Raccoon Akiba is also severed from a similar incident. Oh, I'm sorry, that's a similar livery. That's going to be the Get Me 240s driver of the Shift E Racing Group, has also lost control into the downhill section of the track. But as we look up towards the first 4 drivers of this race, they have made it through with next to no issue as they begin to attack each other in the back straight. Hitting up to that 6th gear into the heavy braking zone. Missing your braking point can be vital to not missing the braking point can be vital to making sure you can make it through those last few turns with as much speed as possible. And as we see J37 in the Xbox One livery, he didn't have a great race at Red Bull Ring, so this is going to be his opportunity to make things right here at Bathurst as we enter into lap 2 of the race. Our current leaders are going to be the Goose is Loose, Zingy, and J37, aka Johnny. Captain Ahab not too far behind, though. It looks like he does have some craft off of 37 here. But I don't think it's going to be enough to make it past him in the next few turns. He's going to have to wait until we begin heading back down towards the back end. That's going to be some contact for J37. It looks like our stewards have chose to ignore. Excuse me. Have chose to ignore that for the moment. We know for this race, the stewards are going to be a little bit more lenient with the difficult nature of this track, especially the downhill sections. But that looks like it is going to be a warning finally for Johnny, as he's made too much contact with walls. One scrape might be forgiven, but multiple scrapes back to back definitely will warrant that warning. As we come on board now with Raccoon Akiba, it looks like John has spun off behind him. It's going to be a loss of control warning for John today. And Raccoon almost doing the same as that rear end, famously kicking out. He does love to drive like that, but maybe in this downhill section, it is not as viable as he would like. And it looks like Zingy also had a warning for a loss of control here. It's a chaotic race today here at Bathurst for Session 5. But it looks like Zingy is going to be making the chase towards Snudro. Does he have enough pace to be able to pass him in the back straight? He's right on his rear end now as they make their way around the right-hander towards the braking zone. Will he attempt to make the move? No, he's going to go ahead and stay behind, waiting to buy his time, maybe possibly in the front straight before they head into the uphill section of this track. And here they come, making their way into lap 3. Zingy chasing down Snudro with Raccoon not too far behind. These exits onto the straights, it's important that you have the best exit possible. That way, if you are behind, you can get a hold of the draft of the car in front, and if you're ahead, you need to be able to keep that gap built so that they can't benefit. But as we can see, as they start coming down towards the last part of the straight into the uphill, Zingy is gaining a little bit of pace onto Snudro. Some beautiful racing today here at Bathurst. Getting their charge into the uphill. They're going to be laying it down on the 4th gear up this section, only lifting a little bit to make it around certain turns and avoid walls on the outside. As you can see from Raccoon just barely skating by the barrier of the wall. Zingy doing the same as he slides just slightly against it, scraping up his paint job. But the two drivers, Zingy and Snudro, do have a good launch out of that section. Raccoon is leading a little bit behind in the 6th place position. These two fighting for 4th, but giving the chance for podium away as Captain J37 and the Goose is Loose are really making a charge away from the rest of the pack. And as we said, those exits onto these straights are going to be vital. It looks like Zingy and Snudro were able to get a good exit, but Raccoon is struggling, as we saw with the cockpit camera there for a moment. It looks like Zingy is able to make the move down the straight this time, making the pass successfully, entering into the last 3 turns. The last 2 turns here at Bathurst. Now he has to deal with Snudro chasing him down from behind. The shift group being well represented today in the Desert Rats Racing League with 3 drivers on the grid. I apologize, actually, that's 4 drivers on the grid, re-looking at the names. And here we come back down onto the first stretch of the track. The gap is a little bit more built up now between the drivers in the 4th, 5th, and 6th positions, but that does not mean the fight is over just yet, as we are only on lap 4 of 9 today. Captain having a good lead for that 3rd place position. And taking a look at Johnny, he's only 2 seconds off the pace from our leader. He definitely can make up that pace today. Snudro having a good chase in the uphill section, gaining some benefit from that draft. He'll be able to make some moves entering out of the downhill if he's able to keep up this pace. chase cam of Snoodro, showing how quickly these drivers are coming through. But oh no, Z lost it with his wheels touching the outside. And oh, it looks like his car slid into Raccoon. That is going to be a post-race grid penalty for Zingy after losing control and making contact with another driver. As we know with the Desert Rat Series, this is cosmetic damage only, so Raccoon is able to get back onto the track and start charging towards the 4th place position of Snoodro, with Zingy not too far behind him as we see his bumper get launched there by one of the shift drivers. And that for a moment was Get Me 240s as we cut back to Raccoon in the same livery. He's making his way down the back straight with Z not too far behind him, and two more hoods go flying off onto the back straight. Looks like today is a party as the cars are getting down and dirty. Coming into the end of the back straight, the braking zone begins for Raccoon and Zingy. As we take a look at the leaderboard, the Goose is still leading with that 2-second, 3-second gap ahead of J7. Captain Ahab chasing behind, Snoodro in 4th, Raccoon in 5th, Zingy in 6th, John in 7th, and the rest of the group being shift drivers in 8th, 9th, and 10th. And here we go, entering into the front straight again. Zingy is trying to make that attack on Raccoon. Will his exit be good enough to make the chase? Looks like that gap may be dwindling. It's hard to tell from this camera angle as we get onto the chase camera with Z once again. Into the cockpit, will he make the late move? Looks like for now he's going to wait to make an attempt later on the track, knowing this may not be the best moment. And it seems somehow our drivers have restored their hoods. Definitely an interesting thing happening with the cameras today. They must have a monkey in their hood fixing parts like Speed Racer as they dash through the uphill section. Z making just a little bit of a scratch against the wall, but nothing egregious as he's trying to chase down Raccoon. We see the Goose's leading comfortably up the front as he's making his way down the downhill, followed by J37 in the 2nd place position, Captain in 3rd, Snoodro in 4th. It's going to be some interesting last few laps here as the pack hasn't broken up entirely, but we do still see some races going on the track as Raccoon is still being chased by Zingy. Zingy is getting a better exit out of that turn. And no, Raccoon is struggling, tapping the side of the wall in the exit again. Taking an inside line. It looks like he doesn't quite hit the wall there, but some sketchy driving and a very bad exit. It's going to lead to Zingy being able to get the overtake in the back straight once again, making his way back into that 5th position. I'm sure he isn't too happy after making a mistake. He's been leading the races here for this RaccRacing session. Here we go into the back stretches, final moments as we enter the braking zone. Oh no, it looks like Raccoon did not brake quite enough. He makes contact with Zingy, sending the 2 drivers off the track. And that's going to be a post-race grid penalty for another driver today for Raccoon. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the replay here and see what could happen differently. But it looks like Raccoon attempted to make avoiding action, but in doing so just managed to clip the back end of Zingy. An unfortunate incident indeed, but the 2 drivers will take it like champs. And as we cut back to the 3rd place position, we do see that Snoodro has made some pace on Captain Ahab as we enter into the last 2 laps of this race. I apologize, I think I said the last 2 laps. This is not. Currently only on lap 6. But either way, as we enter into this lap, Captain is going to be chased down by Snoodro into the uphill section. As we saw from Zingy, it might not be the best choice to make the passes here, but rather towards the downhill or in the back straight. So at the moment, Snoodro is going to have to make an attempt at only chasing, although he went for the move. A little bit of contact there, but the stewards have decided to let it be accepted. So now Captain Ahab is going to have to make a chase for the 3rd place position after that aggressive driving from Snoodro. Neither driver did crash though, so it is fair game. they enter into the downhill section, the trickiest section today so far for our drivers. It's all about managing the oversteer when using the brakes, not wanting to kick out the rear end of the car too much around these banked turns. Here we go into the back stretch as we are on the chase camera, or I'm sorry, the cockpit camera with Captain for a moment. Going back to trackside as they make their chase down the back straight. Doesn't look like Captain quite has the space he needs to benefit from draft and make the pass, but it will definitely get him the pace he needs to make an attempt on the next lap. And as we look ahead on the leaderboard, we can't see the Gooses Loose is still leading with that gap. John behind our driver Captain with Raccoon following not too far behind. Zingy attempting to recover as well, as it looks like he may have made a mistake somewhere in that last lap, allowing Raccoon to overtake once again. 40s is going to be in that 8th place position. And here we go as we enter the final lap. The Gooses Loose is leading, followed by 37 as we said. And here's Captain Ahab attempting to chase down Snoodro for a podium position in the final lap. As we make our way into the front straight of the track, will he get a good enough exit to make the attack? It may look so, as he does use good spacing on the track. The pacing is there to get the draft benefit from Snoodro ahead. And it looks like Matt Good has retired from our race. And there we go as they enter into the uphill section of Bathurst for the final lap. It looks like Snoodro has accidentally gone wide into the section. As we come back to see Raccoon and the rest of the pack, we cut back ahead again to see the tense battle between Snoodro and Captain Ahab. Captain Ahab really standing up along the outside, scraping the wall only a little bit. He makes the overtake. That is going to allow Captain Ahab into the 3rd place position for now. As they start making their way towards the downhill section of Bathurst, this is going to be some intense battling for podium position on the final lap. Back to the action, yes we do, with Captain Ahab still leading ahead of Snoodro. As we enter the back straight, this is going to be Snoodro's last chance to make any kind of move against the driver in 2nd place. But as we move ahead, we do see the Gooses Loose making his way around the last few turns. What an insane race for the Gooses Loose today, leading the pack without any issues, even ahead of J37 there making the chase. That is going to make our winner today the Gooses Loose in the number 99 car. Congratulations, Goose. You had a wonderful race today. 37, rounding out the rest of the podium with the 2nd place position. It seems like Captain Ahab is going to get that 3rd place today. Congratulations to our drivers as the leaderboard comes up here for both of our races. Raccoon is leading the series with 118 points and 19-point gap to Captain Ahab. John, aka JLA, is in 3rd place with 96 points, giving a almost 30-point lead over Zingy. Finesse in 5th place, Darius in 6th. The Goose is starting to catch up in 7th. Matt Good in 8th. Get Me 240s in 9th, and Snoodro in 10th. That is our top 10 contenders for the time in this series. Our next session will take us to Cascades and the historic Nordschleife, so we do hope to see you there. Thank you once again for joining us in Raccoon Racing Productions Desert Rats Racing League. This has been an enjoyable series, and we hope to see you again soon. We will hopefully have Webbo back for next time as well, so join us for sure.